Hey everybody. There's something that's kind of been coming up multiple times in kind of my more conservative and more libertarian circles that I wanted to cover. And I increasingly get asked like why why Magnus are you working with all of these progressives? Why are you hanging out with them? Why are you platforming them? Why are you kind of advertising for these particular progressives? Yes, they're not corporate. Yes, they may be more reasonable or rational, but at the end of the day, they hold fundamentally different beliefs than you. In fact, some beliefs that you are vehemently opposed to. So why are you standing for them? Why are you pushing them? Why are you trying to get them more exposure and more attention? And the simple fact is kind of a concept that I've always held in my life that an honest opponent is infinitely preferable to a dishonest ally. And particularly with the people that I work with, these are very honest and rational actors. They have different worldviews than me. They have different answers to problems than me. But importantly, they understand what are the actual issues and they fight for the actual issues. And it also kind of falls along both a moral and a practical kind of, answer to me. To where morally, like I want to see people actually be represented. I want to see genuine representations in the best representations of ideas. I don't want if I want to figure out what a communist believed to go see some fake corporate shill. If I want to see if I want to see what a progressive believes or a socialist believes, I don't want some DNC or DSA paid actor, some TYT $1 million corporate establishment that lies and panders and shills and misrepresents what these ideas actually believe. So for me, like as a person who wants to see people do better and see people be happier, I think the world is improved when even if someone who I disagree with is actually represented by an intelligent voice that can have a discussion and be calm and be honest about what's going on. And the practical point of that as well, and this is something people really need to realize, is that if you do not have a genuine and honest practical representation of different ideologies, then people become very disillusioned. And when they become very disillusioned and they constantly look for a voice that represents them and they can't find one, they start to kind of adapt their worldview and their beliefs to find someone who represents them. And increasingly, they get pushed into more kind of dangerous and radical worldviews and positions. And you got to keep in mind, for me, self-designated, domestic terrorist by the United States government. When I say radical, I mean actually radical, like face the wall and kill people radical, like terrorism radical, genuine bad ideas. And you're seeing that more and more, particularly among conservative spaces, but you definitely see it on the left as well, of people that do not find genuine representation anywhere, and they start to go fucking crazy, and they start to reach out and try to find communities of people that agree with them. And when they point out that people on quote unquote their side, social media people, major corporations, stuff like that, are bullshit and they're liars and they don't actually mean anything they say, and they get attacked by their own side, then they get pushed further and further to the extremes. So for both of those reasons, I want to see legitimate progressives. I want to see legitimate communists. I want to see legitimate socialists. I want to see legitimate, beliefs I don't believe in. Legitimate conservatives, legitimate neocons even. You expand it as far as you want. I want to see like actual honest actors in these ideas, and I want to talk to them. And the other perk to that's kind of important is when someone is honest and genuine and they're not being bankrolled or lying or grifting or just doing it for attention, then those people are also way more likely to change their mind based on information presented to them or facts on the ground. And I don't mean like broadly ideology. I don't mean like, oh, I want these people because they're less chance of becoming a socialist. But if in moment to moment issues, more importantly, they will play team sports infinitely less if the information coincides with it. While the dishonest people and the shills will always stick to their fucking shit on every single detail, even if it doesn't make sense. And often they'll make issues about their fucking grift when they don't. And that leads us way into stray. Like, I think everybody who's a quote-unquote libertarian or conservative and is fucking going on about the Mr. Potato Head, you've been led into the weeds by the grifters. Because I think people that genuinely believe in like small government and capitalism and shit have no reason to give a fuck about the Mr. Potato Head thing. But we're spending days talking about it because you're being led to the grift. And who's not talking about this stupid bullshit? The real ones, you know, Liberty Lockdown, fucking Dave Smith on libertarian side. And then obviously my beautiful leftist allies, they're not fucking going on and on about Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Seuss because they're talking about shit that matters because it's not a grift to them. So I highly recommend to everybody that even if, you know, you constantly battle with an individual or an idea, if they're genuine, if they're real, if they're not bought, then take a moment and be like, hey, like, I think everything this guy says is fucking wrong, but he actually believes it. And for that reason, you should pay attention to him and you should support him. And that's how I feel. And that's why I will happily march with all of the, you know, my leftist allies that have brought me into the fold. And at the same time, like, there's even conservative people that I will happily associate with because I know they're not full of shit and they believe what they believe. And now when you get down to more of an individual level, that's different, but I'm talking in particular to content creators, to news stations, to channels, and to shows where they're honest and genuine. So that's that. And just to close really quick, we do have the Action for Assange event, which is coming up, which I will personally be going to. That's going to be on St. Patrick's Day in Washington, D.C. And there's a Fuck Censorship free speech event that's actually, once again, put on by people on the left. So people on the right pay attention to that I'll also be at. And I'm trying to build that to be more than just a Washington, D.C. thing. I want that to be a national thing. So if anybody wants to set up a small local event, even if it's in your middle of nowhere bullshit town, and you just want to be like you and 5 friends go out with signs for either Jillian Assange or for free speech and against tech censorship, hit me up on Twitter. Hit up Misty. She's another one that's organizing it, or the Combo Couch. They're another one organizing it. That's Sarcasm Stardust on Twitter and Combo Couch on Twitter. And, you know, let us know and we'll help you set it up because this is important. And this is a big thing about unity is once again, everything I just talked about in this video, you have honest people from both sides that want to go to this. So let's all go to this and let's show that, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you have rational actors on left and right and they can both identify a problem, they are more willing to work together to where the grift and the fake and the corporate will always constantly never have this happen. So let's beat these people. And this is part of that. So I hope everybody shows up. Have a good one.